Welcome to Fill the Stage. I'm with Chuck Holton. He is a former Army Ranger and a very widely followed war correspondent. Chuck is about to start a leadership institute in West Virginia for young leaders. Chuck, can you tell us about this leadership institute and who it's for?
Yeah, Daniel, good to talk to you. This is something that's been kind of on my mind for many years, probably 15 years. And I'm a busy guy. I go to 30 countries a year and I'm traveling all over the world. So I just don't have time. And I kept just saying, I don't have time for that and putting it aside. Every time I do that, God just puts it right back on my plate. Just something happens that says, no, you're not done with this. You're supposed to. And so finally, I'm a little dense, but I can take a hint, and I decided, all right, well, we're just going to try it and see where this goes. I have felt for a long time that the United States and the whole world really needs more education that teaches the kind of things that they should teach in school but don't. Things like wisdom and discernment and discipline and leadership and selfless service and budgeting, just those kinds of everyday things that I think are part of the reason why it takes young people longer to launch out of their homes now than it did before. And so my thought is that I go all over the country and I speak to men's groups and youth groups, and I see these young men, and you approach a 12th grader in America these days, they can't look you in the eye. They can't go 30 seconds without staring at their phone or grabbing their crotch. They don't learn how to interact with other human beings because they spend all their time on a screen. So my initial intent is just to get them off their screens and get them out into the world and train them in some real hands-on skills, some manly things that will make them more useful no matter what they do next after that. So whether it's teaching them to split firewood or teaching them to wire up a electrical outlet or teaching them to change oil in their car, all of those things are things that a college educated person can probably hire somebody to do. The problem is there's nobody out there to hire anymore because there's nobody that knows how to do those kind of jobs. And I've seen that problem firsthand in West Virginia. I can't get a workman to come out that's not on drugs, that will do a fairly simple labor intensive job at my farm out there to save my life. So we want to put together, we found that there are some grants out there because there are cities and states and even the federal government who have recognized that there's a dearth of trades and will pay you to train young men in trade skills. Not only that, but they'll guarantee those kids a job as soon as they get qualified. And some of them are starting at $120,000 a year. $10,000 a month for a 20-year-old kid is a pretty good deal. So, excuse me. So our hope is to train them on a whole host of real world skills, everything from land navigation with a map and compass to high angle rescue, water rescue, and every one of those things is designed not only to make them more useful in a crisis, but to make them a more well-rounded human being who has seen some challenge and some hardship and has come through it and has built some character as a result. So whether they stay and learn to be a volunteer firefighter or they learn to be an electrician or they just go for the leadership course, or I'm sure we'll have some sort of social media or journalism curriculum there. But whatever they do, while they're getting the skills to do those things, they're also going to be getting biblical wisdom on a daily basis. They're going to be learning to be discerning. They're going to understand a little more about the world and learn to serve other people. So one of the things we'll do is go out and canvass the neighborhoods and find elderly people or people that are shut-ins or whatever, and we'll go do things for them that they need done and just can't afford to get somebody to do. So it's good experience for the young men, and it's a good service to the community as well. So that's kind of the preliminary idea. We're starting with just a summer camp in West Virginia this summer, and it's going to be a week long, and it's going to be just a taste of the kinds of things that you'll be able to learn in the academy itself. To get the academy started, as you can imagine, is a much bigger it's a much bigger plan that takes a lot of funds and a lot of people coming together and volunteering their services and their time to help put this thing together. So we're just taking it a step at a time. And we've got the nonprofit, we've got the bank account, we're ready to take donations, and we're planning the camp for this summer. Our inaugural uh, summer camp will be in August.
Well, it sounds really good, Chuck. It sounds like you have some character development, leadership development, training, and practical skills. It's amazing how much someone can earn by just developing a few practical skills. So I think this is great. Can you kind of paint a picture of the type of person this will forge if a person goes through this?
Yeah, I mean, the idea is to forge a responsible adult who will show up when he says he'll be there, do the job he says he'll do, and do it as if he's working for the Lord, and will not throw away the faith that was gifted to him by his parents and his grandparents. This is not. I mean, the idea is to build men and to build competent, capable men who are unafraid to go out there and embrace some hardship.
That's great. So, can you talk about a few practical things that you're envisioning that a young person will be able to do as a result? Is this, are you trying to help them get a certain type of job? Are you just trying to help them become a better person and guide them in terms of a life plan? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, well, like I say, I mean, they'll be able to track in different areas, and that's all going to depend on if we can get the instructors and get the funding to put it all together. And so we're a little bit down the road from starting that. I'd like to start that in 2027, 2028, perhaps. It's just going to depend on if we can get some big donors. That we have a building that in mind that's for sale. It's a former government academy for the Mine Safety and Health Administration, 40,000 square feet, so like a multi-million dollar building. And the government's just been maintaining it for 10 years empty. So they want to offload it, and they're selling it for $330,000. So for $500,000, we could probably buy the building, renovate it to a residential type academy, and then all we have to do is figure out who's going to teach them, and all that. That's, again, I'm just taking this a step at a time. The Lord is driving this train, and not me. So if there are people out there that have skills, I've talked to a couple of guys who are retired and they're bored stiff, but they've got hands-on skills in electrician, plumbing, HVAC, carpentry, business administration, even just mathematics, anything like that. And they're saying, you know what, I'd love to come over and teach 2 or 3 times a week or something like that, just for something to do. Well, then that would go a long way towards putting this together. We have the camp that we have set up in August will be run exclusively by veterans. Every instructor there will be a veteran, and it's not going to be a boot camp where we haze people and scream at them and everything. It's going to be a leadership course. And so they're going to get given challenges, and they're going to have to overcome those challenges together as a team. They're going to have to lead one another, depending on what day it is, and who gets chosen as the leader for that day. They're going to have to learn to lead men and motivate them to get the job done, whatever that happens to be. And as we train them in this host of real world skills, the sky's the limit. We could do skydiving if we wanted to, firearms training. There's just so many different things we could do, but we're going to try to stick to things that are number one, going to attract the kind of young men we're seeking, which is, we're looking at high adventure type things, rock climbing, rappelling, maybe a little whitewater rafting or something like that to kind of spice things up a little bit. But on top of that, some wilderness survival skills, some land navigation skills, some different splitting firewood competitions and things like that. That just get them out in the sun, away from their phones, doing real manly stuff. Let them feel that rush of testosterone that you get when you're out there splitting firewood and just loving it, and go like, hey, this is what I was made for, because that's what we find with these young men is that when you challenge them, they rise to the challenge. Young men will live up to your expectations of them. It's just that too many people have very, very low expectations.
That's really great. So this is for young men. The camp coming up is for young men.
13 to
What are
17.
13 to 17, so high school age. Can
Yeah.
you just give a quick snapshot about what you've been doing, your background, and maybe some of your qualifications for this, Chuck?
Well, I'm a former Army Ranger, 8 years in the U.S. military, flew helicopters the last four. Then I became a stockbroker for 10 years, and then I became a journalist and a writer. And I've been a war correspondent now for 23 years or so, traveling to every war and disaster zone around the world. And I'm right now coming to you from Copenhagen, Denmark, as we're talking about taking over Greenland. I'm going to Greenland day after tomorrow. And so uh, I'm trying to not this is not just about my experience at all. This is more about a calling that I have that God won't let me get rid of. He won't let me put it down. Sure, I think I bring some things to the table that I've started and owned businesses, and I've made fortunes and lost them, and I've kind of run the gamut, got a lot of experience as any 56-year-old man probably should have. The team that we're putting together has got hundreds of years of experience in just the manly arts, I would say. Everything from hand-to-hand combat to mechanics to everything in between. And that's who I want to expose these young men to, are these godly, rough and tough, manly men who know a thing or two about everything and can start to pass that along to the younger generation.
Well, that's really interesting, really great to hear, Chuck. Can you talk about the prerequisites? Anything required for a high school student to sign up for this?
Well, this is not for adjudicated youth. This is not a scared straight program that if your kid's a deadbeat that you send him out there and we'll straighten him out. Maybe we would, but it's a voluntary course, and if the kid decides he wants to leave, we're not going to stop him. So he's got to want to be there, and that's what we're looking for: is young men who are looking for a challenge, who really want to build some skills and want to be the cream of the crop. I would say that once a young man gets out of the academy that we're planning, he will be in the top 1% of all young men his age in terms of capability, competence, and confidence because of the experience that we'll give them.
Well, that's great. How can interested families and high school students learn more about this?
The summer camp is at frontierforge.org. Frontierforge.org. It's called the Frontier Forge Institute. That's going to be the camp side of things. The academy is called the Appalachian Leadership and Training Academy, but we're still working on, again, setting all that up, getting the building lined up and everything. So if you have anybody who would like to donate, they can just contact me, info, or just email Chuck at holtonnews.com, Chuck at holtonnews.com, and we'll point him in the right direction for how to do that. We have a nonprofit, so it's tax deductible. And, if somebody's looking to donate, that's really where we're aiming at right now. And the spaces are limited for the camp. We've already got people signing up. So if somebody's interested in having your son or your grandson or whatever go to this summer program that we're doing, this leadership course, they need to get on it pretty quick. It's frontierforge.org.
Well, we'll make that information available, Chuck. I really think this is a great idea. I really look forward to seeing this take fruition and see it happen. There's a very well-known book, Jonathan Haidt's book, The Anxious Generation. It's a New York Times bestseller. Talks about how with the rise of cell phones and social media, there has been a huge increase in depression and anxiety. And so
Mhm.
what you're trying to do, I think, is very important, and I think it can help a lot of young people. So look forward to it. Thanks for talking, Chuck, about this.
Sure thing. My pleasure. That's what we're hoping to do is get these guys out in the sun and away from their screens and let them soak up a little vitamin D, and they're going to feel a whole lot better when they're done.
Well, West Virginia is a great place for that. So thank
Mhm.
you, Chuck. We'll talk more about it.
Sure thing. Thank you, Daniel.